Well, I'm just testing this. I've just got up, as you can see by the frock. No makeup on. I look a right mess, but I don't care because I'm full of myself today. My mind's been going round all night. I was kept awake, you see, by my two pussies. They're quite young. One's named Larry, and the other one is named Dorothy. Larry after, Larry Grayson, and Dorothy after Dorothy Squires. Because when I had them, they were convinced that they were two males. And then the vet said to me, she said, when I took them down to be registered, to be done and to be looked at, she said, I can't sex this one completely. She said, about 7 to 10 days, if you bring her back, we may be able to, or him back, may be able to tell you. Well, I did. And Denise, it turned out to be, not Dennis, but I thought, well, I can't go walking around the house saying, Denise, Denise, come here, have a bowl of this and have a nibble at that, you know. So I've called her Dorothy, you know. So I've got Dorothy and Larry now. I'm quite happy with them. Isn't the world in a mess? My nerves are in shreds. I'm sure yours are as well. I mean, all the reporting, it's the way things are reported that gets me really wild, you know. I mean, it makes me go all shuddery. It does. And it's a mess, it's a mess, it's drama, it's dramatic. I'm not down crying this COVID-19 virus, which of course is related like the other flu viruses. I mean, it's the way in which they present it. When they first started off, those three stooges, they were giving the figures, how many people have died of COVID. Well, we know that you can only have a diagnosis if you get tested. And we know that a very small amount of people initially were tested. And of course they say then the deaths are due to COVID. Well, they're not. They're not all due to COVID. It's just that they've tested positive. Tragically, I'm not underplaying it. Tragically, of course, there have been a few lower percentage of people that have died as a direct result, as they do with the seasonal flu, you know. I mean, you have to put your hand over your mouth so many times for so many things these days, I find. And I mean, if you're sensible and you're rational, you take normal precautions to look after your health the best you can. But if you've got underlying mental health problems as well, I mean, you're crackers. And, mental health problems, I mean, that's another one. If I hear that term, again, having been a former psychiatrist, many years ago in a former life, it'll drive me mad. I shall see Prince William on there. There'll be, black gentlemen kneeling down on their knees. You know, I wouldn't mind. They earn £1 million a week, don't they, these footballers? Say Black Lives Matter. Well, they do. All lives matter. I mean, it just drives me mad. People pulling monuments down, wanting to rewrite history. You know, I'm afraid you can't change history, and it won't always fit into the present. But we've got to educate. We've got to allow things to be there so that we can discuss them. Oh, it's very serious. You know, I've got no plan of what I'm talking about at all. You see, I haven't. I mean, Europe's a mess. You see, I think it's all part of a plot. You see, but Maggie Thatcher, at least, whether you loved her or hated her, at least she didn't join the monetary union. I mean, did you realise Angela Merkel, or rather, whatever you call her, Angela Meerkat, the German woman, she's down in the basement at the central bank, churning out these euros by the dozen. That's why she's shaking. By the millions. That's why she's shaking. And she's out in the morning giving it to people like Greece, bless them, because it's very slippy over there. It's people like Greece. Turkey want to get in, of course, So, I mean, you'll slip your way through Greece and eat your way through Turkey eventually. And, of course, propping up all these countries with big, big loans that they can't afford to pay back. Now, if it worked, economically, if it worked, I mean, wouldn't a bag of sugar in Romania be the same as a bag of sugar in Bulgaria, price-wise, and the same price as a bag of sugar at my local convenience store here, Vicarage Road Stores? I mean, wouldn't it? Well, it isn't. It doesn't work. You see, they trade in amongst themselves, basically things we don't want. And there's all these regulations. Well, I'm a pro-European. I lived in France, for over 25 years on and off. But it had to go. Oh, it had to go when he got in. What was the one before him? What was his name? Oh, I forget now. With the glasses. You know, what was his name before this one? The little one, you know, the good-looking one, who's married that older woman, his school teacher. See? Couldn't get away with that here, could you? But, oh, God, it's terrible. Oh, I was watching Larry Grayson last night, but with mates, you know, for years, and it was what was it now? It was 1973, and it was the London Palladium, and I was looking at what was on the television in those years, you know, what entertainment. And now it's Fanny's Got Talent, all sorts of things, you know, people ripping each other apart, live documentaries, you know, misery. I'll tell you what, they'll be doing reality shows now and, you know, fillers for the television, you know, on the state of people's bowels, you know. They will. They will. They'll be making documentaries about it, about comparing, you know, people's bowel movements. Like, you know, Mrs. Jones this morning, she passed an 8-ounce fluffy. Mr. Albert Rhodes, a 42 Glengarry Place, well, he did a very big movement. It was twice around the bowl and pointed at both ends. But I don't know where we're going with it all. I mean, I know I'm getting on now, and as you can see, I don't perform anymore because of my legs, and I can't get up now to the high wire because it's very slippery, and I don't feel safe. You know, I mean, I've noticed this last 12 months, I've had to have a banister put up, you know, a rail, so I can help myself when I get down, because I can get upstairs easy enough, but it's the falling down the stairs that knocks me about a bit, you know, and it's very difficult because I could fall on top of one of my pussies and have a squashed pussy, couldn't I? I mean, Mrs. Slocum loved her pussies. Do you remember? Are You Being Served? I mean, she often had to get home early, or, you know, if they were asked them to stay over, because in the winter, she says, well, if I don't get home by 7 o'clock, my pussy will be frozen solid. Well, I had 2 of them between my legs this morning on the bed. In fact, they're still up there now, stretched out. They don't care at all. They walk all over me. Story of my life. I don't know. Anyway, one thing, I've got a lot of friends on the walls. They're Karen McKendu, an artist, marvellous Cornish artist, abstract painter. Look her up. She said to me when she saw the pictures, she said, it's like being in a room, you know, at a party with old friends. And I thought that was a lovely term, you know. Sarah Jane Sikora started me off on collecting originals eventually in the late 90s, I think it was. Yes, late 90s. Because I started with her prints and I graduated. I went upscale. I went up to oils and acrylics, you know. And that's when I could afford them, of course, now. Because my pension hasn't risen for quite a while now. Well, I think it went up £10 last week, was it? Well, in the budget. You know, when old people get a rise, whoops, and it's very nice. It's very nice when you get it, but of course, you know, that's gone on a bottle of milk and a cream puff, hasn't it? You know, you pop in the local shop and, well, local. You have to, well, at least now we're using them, aren't we? With this terrible situation we're in, we're using the local shops, and I'm glad, you know, they're doing well. But you try to go to a shopping centre, they're all closed down now, barbed off, and barbed wired or off or whatever it is, and it's like the Gestapo to get in. You can't get in, and you have to have a bag over your head. I mean, it looks ridiculous. I mean, I could do with one now, I know. But it's not a joke anymore. I mean, it's all very well. I mean, my friend, I'm in her bubble, and she said I've been in a bubble for a long time. She said I should get out more, and she said I must get dressed. And I've shaved all my hair off as well, you know, but because I've got, you know, you'll have to excuse me because I've only just got up. I must go and make a cup of tea in a minute. I've green leaf now, you know, because I'm health conscious, being 96, and you've got to keep your bowels moving, and you need your vitamins. And I don't eat rubbish. That's what I say to all old people. Keep your mind active and don't eat rubbish. That's if you can remember where your mind is. And you know the difference between good food and rubbish. So I have a mixture because I think you've got to be eclectic in life. A bit like art. You've got to be eclectic. And, oh, look at my neck, it's going. And it's gone, don't know about going. Oh, I must get a shave as well. Well, I was going to talk to you about all sorts of things, but I'm just rambling. I've got, I've just what's in my head. I must get that cherry covered over there. It's getting a bit grubby. But you see, you get to a stage where you can't be bothered. It's knocked travel all over the place, hasn't it? I've got friends stuck in airports from April. They can't get anywhere. I mean, three of the cleaners at Heathrow Airport, well, they're still going around on this, on the doodah. What do they call it? The conveyor belt. I thought it was at the generation game when they phoned me, going round and round, speeding it up. As I just tell the man to stop it, you'll fall off and get a taxi. But don't forget to put a bag over your head. I mean, it's all madness. Kids should go back to school. They should go back to school. But the unions don't want them to, do they? Because, they say that staff are at risk. Well, life without risk is no life at all. We've got to get on with it. You've got to carry on. Just be sensible. I mean, you can go into a restaurant with 5 people or 6 people. You can't have a function for 30 or 40. So what you do, you get your 30 or 40 people together. You tell them all individually to make a party of 5 or 6, ring up separately, book a table. And you've got your party, haven't you? So I was going to have my wedding anniversary, but I've never been married, and you can see why. I lost my partner, coming up for 16 years now. And this is why I'm doing this today, because I woke up this morning thinking about him. And I was lovely memories, and I talk to him very, very often. He doesn't answer me back. In fact, the psychiatrist asked me, he says, "Do you hear voices?" I said, "Yes." I said, "I hear yours." And he said, I hear my own in my own head." He said, "That's all right, you're not a schizophrenic." I said, "I know." "I know. I'm not hebephrenic. I'm not catatonic, and I'm not stuporosed," because those are different types of schizophrenia, And paranoid, of course. There's 4 types, or 4 groups of symptomatology, which display different things. And you can see evidence of, anyway, I'll shut up. These glasses, I've just realised they're blue. They go with that picture at the back, don't they? That artist was called John Alvaro Caldas. He died, I think, in about 1987. And he's never been really recognised. William Ralph Turner, marvellous. Lived till he was 93 and marvellous. Had to stop painting because of the Parkinson's, I mean, I get the shakes, but it's nothing to do with Parkinson's disease. I have stopped drinking. I haven't had a drink now. Oh, no, I'm a liar. I had a glass of what was it? Medoc, I think it was, on Sunday with lunch with my friends, Vivian and Gordon. We don't talk about them much because, well, they look after a person who's has issues, issues. I love that word, don't you? Problems, I'd call it. The trouble is they don't know they've got the problem. Anyway, I better go and make a cup of tea now. It's, what is it? It's 2020. Yeah, it's a Monday. Couldn't sleep, as I say. I was tossing and turning. Thank God I'd got a couple of slices of toast under the pillow in a serviette, because I always keep it there in case of night starvation. And I was toying with a Toblerone earlier on in the night. I think that was his name. But I must get the wrapper off soon. It's been lovely to talk to you. I hope you're all well. Just keeps your sense of humour and keep on smiling. When you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. But when you're crying, the sun won't come shining through. But when you're laughing, you'll bring on the sun. But when you're crying, you'll stick your finger up your bum. When you're laughing, the whole world smiles with you. I just made that up. Ta-ra.